Hello everyone, so today I'm going to be talking about my third year textile samples that I did back at university when I was studying in textiles design. So this project was based on pieces of lace, letters I had either written to friends and family or I had received, and star maps. Most of these samples were done through screen printing, and a lot of these designs and patterns that you see were actually used from my sketchbook. So you can go and check that out. I will put a link in my description below for a video I had done on my sketchbook work for this project. Not all of these samples were actually done on textiles. You'll see that some of these samples were done on paper, such as envelopes. For this project in particular, I was really trying to be as experimental as I could. I used a lot of different types of textiles. I used a lot of different types of printing pastes. I just really wanted to be very experimental and to try a lot of different things for my final pieces. And this project, so we basically had a theme of our project, and it started out through our sketchbooks to gather up ideas. Then we went on to doing small samples, and then we gathered our best samples to do again, but in bigger. So that was basically how our project evolved. Now for the different types of materials I used to print with, there were several, so I'll give a few examples. I had a lot of these samples actually had foil on them. So foil is basically great because it would reflect the light off of the fabric, which went well with my star theme. I also used quite a bit of thermochromic paste. Thermochromic paste was probably my favorite to use. It's actually a paste that you put onto your fabric and then you let it dry. And once you put heat on top of it, it changes color. So if you had put your hand onto one of these samples and your hand was warm, it would change the color of your print. Sometimes I showed that in my video here where I put a hairdryer on top of the sample and you see the color slowly changing. I also used a lot of discharge paste, which is a paste that takes out the color of your dyed fabric. So for example, sometimes I had dyed these samples in black and I had then printed on top with my screen the pattern I wanted onto the fabric, and it would come out of the fabric as white because I had used discharge. I used a lot of Devore paste as well. Now, Devore actually eats up the fabric, so sometimes when you see some of these samples with holes in them, that's when I use Devore. So you'll notice a lot of these samples have a sheet of paper behind them. On that sheet of paper, it was just to record everything that I had done to make that sample. So it went from what type of fabric I used, what type of paste I used. It was very precise, and it was just to be able to redo that same sample if I wanted to, and a lot of the times I did, because for my final bigger pieces I needed that sheet of paper to understand how to recreate this sample but in bigger. Another paste I forgot to mention is Puff Binder. Now Puff Binder is a paste you recognize pretty quickly because, as the name suggests, it puffs up when you heat it up. So basically when we would take our screens and we would print onto our fabric, we would then put these samples, if you like, into this big oven to heat up, and once it was heated up to a certain type of temperature and time, you would take it out and you would see that where you had printed, the paste had puffed up because of the heat. As for the fabric that I used for some of these samples, now I won't go through the whole list of fabrics because there's a very long list, but just to give you a few examples, I used a lot of linen, a lot of cotton, sometimes silk, and even sometimes pieces of lace that I had bought in vintage shops or in small fashion boutiques. guys, so this is the end to my video. I hope you enjoyed this textile sample tour. If you enjoy watching my videos, you can go and subscribe to my channel. I hope you have a wonderful day. Until next time. Bye.